All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. The Clintons have skipped out on their depositions. Are they going to be held in contempt? Looks like it. Is Pam Bondi going to make some arrests? I don't know. Anybody's guess. I have Joshua Reed joining me today. This is going to be an explosive podcast. But I will say Pam Bondi did do something, right? And by the way, my printer crapped out on me today. I got to go get another printer. So I'm doing this all from my phone. This past week, at the request of the Department of War, the Department of Justice, and FBI executed a search warrant at the home of Washington Post journalist who was obtaining and reporting classified and illegally leaked information from the Pentagon, from a Pentagon contractor. The leaker is currently behind bars. I am proud to work alongside Secretary Hegseth on the effort. The Trump administration will not tolerate illegal leaks of classified information that, when reported, pose a grave risk to our nation's national security and the brave men and women who are serving our country. So there's that. So there's the, I guess that's what, the real first arrest? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to be having Josh on today to talk more about this. Folks, hit the notification button. Hit the notification button, baby. And Venmo. If you appreciate me, I absolutely appreciate you. 𝗬-Rod1977. I answer all the questions there. Ringside with Nino's tomorrow. Ringside with Nino is tomorrow, Thursday. I can't have it today. I'm traveling today. But tomorrow, Ringside with Nino, baby, we're going to be doing it at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So get over there, join. It's only $11, $11.99 a month. Also, folks, anybody who joins Nino's Corner.tv right now, you'll be grandfathered in. If I do decide to do a price bump, I'm being pressured to do so. So if you join now, you will be grandfathered in. Anytime I do a price bump, you will be grandfathered in, guaranteed. I won't go back on that. Also, when the lights go out on Amazon, I wrote that book on my iPhone. Took me about a month to write it. Man, very therapeutic to write a book, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. It's very therapeutic. Also, my mom's book, When the Lights Go. I'm sorry. Jeez. The Mexican Mix with my mom. Obviously, the prayers are helping folks. Hanging on by a thread, both of them, but I still got them. And it's literally moment by moment at this point. Also, folks, Trim with Nino. Start losing weight. We've all seen the headlines about Ozempic and similar miracle weight loss shots, but a major 2025 analysis just revealed that people who stop taking these injections regain an average of 60% of their weight within just 1 year. Most of that gain is pure fat. And the muscle loss during the treatment stays gone, leaving you with a crash metabolism and a body that's basically older than when you started. Just look at the Osbournes. This is why I take something way better called GLP-1, and I'm obsessed with the results I'm seeing in the mirror. I don't use needles to override my system. It uses plant-based clinical study ingredients like 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶 to help my body naturally boost its own hunger-controlling signals. I get the same fullness and less cravings, but without prescriptions, scary side effects, or metabolic rebound. The magical supplement supports my weight management goals while protecting my muscles, helping me keep the weight off for good. To celebrate the new year is currently at 50% off promotion for GLP-1 Elevate, only at Trim with Nino. Plus, every order for a limited time comes with a free 60-day satisfaction guarantee and free express shipping with subscriptions. Once again, that's Trim with Nino. Get yours now, folks. Get started on that. Start looking good. Start looking healthy. We don't know the side effects of this. I mean, you can see it, right? I mean, you can see these people that are on this stuff. I think there's better options out there, and we don't know the long-term side effects. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Nino's Corner.tv, fire. X is Nino Boxer. PatriotWear.com. Get yourself a hat, a shirt, some socks. Also, Nino's Corner.tv. The Ghost is up there right now. 𝗬𝗏 doubleheader. Stuart Swerdlow. Now, man, we're a day away when he says the Ukraine-Russian war will end. I don't know. I don't think he's going to make it. I love Stuart, but I don't think he's going to make it. But that's up for you to decide. I leave it up to my audience. He definitely came on Nino's Corner.tv and relayed of a lot of information that I think was pretty substantial. And I don't know. I mean, I think he's over the target in a lot of things, but when you start making predictions on certain days, that's when I kind of go, I don't know, man. I don't know, but I leave that up to you. He's a great guest. I'll still have him on, even if he misses the mark on January 15th. Let's see. I guess we're all waiting, right? Well, we'll see what happens. Also, 𝗬𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗁𝗂's up there. Jan Halper's coming on today. And this morning, I'm going to have Joshua Reed, but I'll bring him on in just a moment. So, we all knew the Clintons would refuse to testify. We all knew this. They feel like they own the system and can do whatever they want. Folks, they're dealing with a lot of arrogance. Just remember, she never thought she'd lose. Imagine the world where it would be right now, especially America. Where would we be right now if she won? Venezuela on steroids. Even if Kamala, the cackling hyena, won, we'd be fucked, okay? Just as bad. It would have been warp speed demolition on America. But do they feel like they could just do whatever they want to do, or are they buying time, hoping to outlast Trump or kick the can down the road with more lawfare and hopefully take out Trump in some kind of way? I've said this before. I've been told Bill Clinton and the Clintons, mainly Bill, has been given a self-delete option. And his Secret Service is well aware of this option. And if that moment comes, or when it comes, and the doors get kicked down, he's going to be left alone with that option to face his own demons. That's what I've been told. Now, is it true? I don't know. I kind of believe it myself. I think it could be. So allegedly, he's already separated from Hillary because he's anticipating her arrest. And you know that we all expect that to happen probably in October, right? That's when they say it's going to happen. Well, we'll see. So where's Pam Bondi in all this? Where is Pam Bondi in all of this? If Trump is putting her publicly on notice, I can't help but think that at some point she's going to go. That's what I think. I've had Juan say it on the radio or on the podcast that, you know, she's not doing her job. She needs to go. I know people are frustrated with her, or is it strategy? And we'll have Joshua Reed give his opinion on that as well. But as the shutdown, as the situation heats up and begins to boil, we have Iran in complete and utter collapse, Arctic troops training in Greenland for the threat of the United States invasion or takeover, Colombia preparing, Cuba preparing, Mexico now maneuvering troops into strategic locations, which, folks, I'm here on the border. I'm definitely going to get my ass down there and see what I can see. Not to mention ICE protesters becoming more emboldened and aggressive towards ICE. They're whenever ICE throws tear gas at them, they pick it up, throw it right back. They're throwing artillery shells, fireworks at ICE. In my opinion, folks, this is just going to keep escalating to the point that soon it will be explosives and soon it will be bullets. That's what I think. That's where I think this is headed. And when the illegal immigrants know that they're cornered and there's no way out of this, I think the cartels are going to activate them to fight. And that's what I think is coming. So it's only a matter of time before the protesters really start firing back. The immigrants get involved and they know that they're I think we are removing 3,000 a day is the number. I'm not completely sure on that. That's what I've been told. 3,000, maybe 3,000 to 5,000 a day. That's a small dent, folks. Think about how many are really here. We're looking at about 50, real numbers, about 40 to 50 million. 40 to 50 million. And I don't know, if you go to the airport, have you noticed they're cutting down flights? And have you noticed there used to be 5-6 flights leaving out of El Paso to San Antonio to Phoenix a day. Now I can only get on 2. They've cut down the flights. The airports are much more empty. That's 50 million people not able to move or have access to flights. That's incredible. I'm loving it. I'm telling you the truth. I love it. I love it. So I'm personally getting sick and tired of these Karens getting out there and screaming at the ICE agents. Now, at first, when I saw the shooting, right? I was kind of like, man, that guy, I call him Waingro from Heat. I think he could have handled it in a different situation. But at the same time, I'm just as fed up as everybody else. And that lady's lesbian lover has become a multi-millionaire overnight, okay? Overnight, she's worth about $2 million now. So I guess with GoFundMe's, crime pays. So 𝗬𝗫 Ferguson on X, breaking, U.S. forces move into strike position against Iran. Something enormous is unfolding behind the scenes. A senior U.S. official has confirmed that American forces in the Middle East are now in advanced stages of readiness, prepared for any mission as President Trump weighs his response to the Iranian regime's brutal crackdown on its own people. This is not routine. This is what it looks like right before history turns. Iran's streets are on fire. Millions are defying the Islamic dictatorship. Live ammunition is being used against civilians, and the regime is starting to fracture. Now, Washington is sending a message that could not be any clearer. If Tehran escalates, if it slaughters its own people, if it strikes U.S. or allied interests, America is ready. Carrier groups are in position. Air wings are primed. Missile defenses are active. Command centers are on alert. This is not diplomacy anymore. This is the moment before the storm. For the first time in decades, the Iranian regime is being challenged, not just by its people, but by the full weight of the American power standing behind them. The world is holding its breath. Incredible times we're living in. This is the Berlin Wall 2.0 on steroids, and I know a little bit about that. Bill Clinton skips out on deposition. Comer says contempt charges moving ahead. Former President Bill Clinton appears. Now, I've heard this guy's a wreck, and if you look at his pictures, this guy looks like a walking corpse, folks. You could tell the anxiety and nervousness and stress is taking a toll on him and Hillary. So, former President Bill Clinton appears to have defied a congressional subpoena to appear before the House Oversight Committee on Tuesday morning. Clinton was compelled to sit for a sworn closed-door deposition in the House bipartisan probe into Jeffrey Epstein, but Fox News Digital did not see him before or after the scheduled 10 a.m. grilling. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer had threatened to begin contempt of Congress proceedings against Clinton if he did not appear Tuesday. It looks like he's not going to. Comer said Tuesday morning, we will move next week in the House Oversight Committee to hold Bill Clinton in contempt of Congress. Over lawmakers seen going into the committee room includes Reps Lauren Boebert and Scott Perry. Hillary Clinton had also been subpoenaed to appear on Wednesday, but likely will not show up. Yeah, I think we can. That's a good educated guess right there. So it's being said right now, Trump turns on Bondi and backs his ice. See, I'm reading from a phone right now, folks. I don't have my papers in front of me, so the little, hey, yo, I can read. I promise you. So Trump turns on Bondi publicly. I mean, he's really putting her out there. I don't know if he's really turning on her, but he's definitely putting it out there saying, hey, where's the arrest? What's going on? How come it's taking so long? Trump turns on Bondi and backs his ice queen's scathing assessment of her over what he sees as multiple failures. So now he's bringing out her failures to the public and saying, is she doing her job? President Donald Trump has been complaining about Attorney General Bondi over high-profile prosecutions going off the rails and her handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. The Wall Street Journal reported, the Wall Street Journal, what do you know? On Monday, Trump's grievances pointing to Bondi's failure to prosecute the president's longtime political enemies, including former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, motherfucker. All right. Trump also reportedly backed Chief of Staff Susie Wiles' assessment that Bondi whiffed on the Epstein files. Something Wiles told Vanity Fair in the magazine's controversial cover story last month. Long-term political ally Steve Bannon told the paper that Bondi is bleeding support, disappointed both the president and President Trump's most loyal troops. Folks are desperate for action and just haven't seen it yet. Bannon continued, pointing to how Trump's base wants to see investigations into what? The 2020 election. But now we got Maduro. But next has to be Tina Peters. And with that being said, let's bring on Joshua Reed right now. Josh, how's it going, my man? Good to see you.
Nino, happy to be here, man. Good to see you, brother.
Good
Happy New Year.
Dude, has it been... Was it last year we were on? I haven't had you on this year yet.
I think that it was. Well, maybe I think it was.
Damn, well, it's going fast.
Either way, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, audience out there. Happy to be on. I have to be on non-retard mode here because we're on YouTube.
Yeah,
that's fine. So, but there's a lot to talk about. And by the way, just an update for you and your audience, because I know you're on the phone and you're not getting the updates. Representative Comer just held Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress.
Nice.
Because she didn't show up. So there you go again, Bill and Hillary Clinton. And this is so actually important because, we talk a lot about the Epstein files. We talk about, hey, we need to bring justice. And I know everybody looks at the victim side and looks at the child sex trafficking side, right? But there's more to the Epstein stuff that's going on. And the angle with Bill and Hillary Clinton of why they actually didn't show up is not necessarily about Epstein. It's an Epstein connection. Now, if you asked people what Jeffrey Epstein truly did, kind of how he made his money, most people aren't going to answer this question. They'll say, well, he was trafficking, kids and stuff. Well, not really. This was more of a side gig that he did. Jeffrey Epstein, if you go to the Dalton House, how he was recruited by Donald Barr. Donald Barr was the headmaster at the Dalton House back in the 1970s. Donald Barr was a former OSS member. This is pre-CIA. He basically, in the 1960s and the 70s, the CIA spanned out old OSS members and new CIA members into the colleges and universities to recruit for the Central Intelligence Agency. Donald Barr, the name might sound familiar because his son is a guy by the name of Bill Barr, Attorney General.
Yep.
Bill Barr. But we have it on good source that Jeffrey Epstein was recruited into the CIA into the 1970s. And a few other people were kind of reporting on this, like they broke this information about BCCI Bank and Bear Stearns. This information has been around for a while. I've written about it on my Substack multiple different times. Jeffrey Epstein worked for Bear Stearns, and what he was doing is he had a relationship with BCCI Bank, which was later indicted on federal charges of laundering money for drug cartels, arms traffickers, and so forth. But what you have people like Aden Khashoggi, a Saudi Arabian national. This is, you remember Khashoggi, who was killed by the Saudi Arabian MBS? Yeah, his uncle was a multi-billionaire in the 1980s who was an arms trafficker. He actually is the one that trafficked arms for Iran-Contra. So how do you move illicit funds derived from arms trafficking into legitimate business infrastructure? Enter Jeffrey Epstein. He is the financial handler for illicit crime into legitimate business and financial investments.
Which would also lead to the mortgages, the whole thing there as well, right?
Right. So the question then is, how did the CIA, or what I call the deep state intelligence apparatus, how do they have a black budget? How does that black budget move? How does it move into legitimate business investment infrastructure? Right. Well, I'm showing you right now is they utilize middlemen, handlers that they put in with large financial institutions. They get them in relationships with billionaires that are under their control. And then that money will flow, the illegal money will flow in through basically, like offshore banks and so forth. And then in the legitimate business infrastructures and the intelligence agencies take it out through shell organizations. So this is what Epstein did. Now, interestingly enough, Trump has kind of talked about 𝗫𝗏 Rothschild just recently in communications. Then we have to understand that 𝗫𝗏 Rothschild, the head of was an investment banker during the time, worked for the Rothschild banks, married into the Rothschild family, helps control a lot of the banking interests today, is the one person who introduced Jeffrey Epstein to President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Okay. So after Bill and Hillary get out of office, they start something called the Clinton Foundation. Now, if you go back about 4 weeks in Congress, an investigation was opened up to revive the Clinton Foundation's criminality of pay-for-play schemes. And this came off of the talks about Comey and all this stuff. Not only that, is Senator Chuck Grassley 2 weeks ago just came out and requested directly from the FBI all information pertaining to Anthony Weiner's laptops filed,
right, and
known as insurance.
That, so that's coming back.
That's right. So
back into the spotlight.
So this is why Bill and Hillary didn't show up. It's not necessarily about Epstein. Epstein is the kind of the web that integrates all the criminality.
It's the icebreaker.
Well, it actually integrates it all. It holds everything together on the financial construct, because he was one of the financial handlers utilized in that middle medium between the upper chain elitists, the NGOs, and the deep state bureaucracy. So Bill and Hillary can't testify, because if they did, they're incriminating themselves through the Clinton Foundation. So this is one of the things that's not talked about, but we're going to find the truth, and it's going to come out. And I believe that
the Weiner laptop's going to come into full view once again.
It is, yes.
Yes.
And what is part of that, and this is kind of where it gets interesting, is the pay-for-play schemes that were going on through the Clinton Foundation. It's not only pay-for-play, is that you remember how they get paid through book deals, they get paid through speeches and stuff like that. Well, Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, her chief of staff or her national security advisor as chief of staff was a guy by the name of Jake Sullivan. It might sound familiar because he was also a national security advisor for Barack Obama. He was also chief of staff to Joe Biden. He was also national security advisor for President Joe Biden. Jake Sullivan is the intermediary. So think about him as an intelligence political handler for the intelligence agencies for politicians. So when you go back to Benghazi, you go back to Fast and Furious, you go back to Venezuela, you go into everything that was occurring in the Middle East during the Barack Obama administration, and then you have some scandal, 2014 Mayden massacre. Jake Sullivan is at the heart of all of this. Now, Jake Sullivan, he got Hillary Clinton on an email chain of highly classified military emails that referencing SAP programs, special access programs, right? So you have Charles McCullough III, the Inspector General in the intelligence community in 2016. He testified in front of the House Intelligence Committee. This was Chairman Chavez, and this is what Chavez asked and said, what was in the 38 emails that were highly classified? And the Inspector General says, I can't tell you, it's classified. He goes, I got the highest security clearance in our government. Do we need to go to a SCIF? He goes, even if we went to a SCIF, I can't tell you. They are beyond top secret. And he goes, my team had to get a special introductory briefing, and it was only a summary briefing of what these projects are. Well, I later figured out what the projects were. The projects in the SAP program emails were the universities and the professors that were receiving grant money directly from the National Science Foundation, from DARPA, from the DoD, from NASA, to reverse engineer highly classified exotic technology and bring it into the public. And we learned this because, just one quick, remember Charles Lieber III, the Harvard professor, 36 professors were indicted in the first part of the Trump administration. Every single one of them had a grant from the National Science Foundation, DARPA, DoD, NASA, all dealing with space technology, space material systems, space propulsion, weapon systems, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology.
UAP type technology as well. So get this. This is perfect segue into what I'm going to read right here. Something is coming. Lou Elizondo, former head of the Pentagon's secret UAP program, is quietly building a doomsday bunker at 5,500 feet elevation. He's not preparing for fun. He knows something massive is coming. In a rare interview, Lou had reportedly hinted at a somber, catastrophic reality on the horizon, and the year 2027 keeps surfacing. But what exactly is it? Full-scale alien contact or disclosure, a sudden arrival of non-human intelligence after 50-plus years of silence, or a devastating cyclical geophysical event the public is being kept in the dark about. Also, you've seen my guest, Jamie Walden, come on and talk about this asteroid 2029 Apophis. Something's coming, folks. Something is coming. But this guy is saying that there's a weakening magnetic field, pole shift, acceleration, extreme solar activity, mega quakes, or something far worse that ancient civilizations warned about. Yuga cycles ending around now. 𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗀's 2026 UFO warnings, insider whispers of they returning by 2027. Lou won't say it outright. He says things like, I'm not in the place to disclose. No one would believe it anyway. We don't have the luxury of time anymore. But the bunker, that speaks louder than words. So what's your thoughts on that?
I got a lot of thoughts on that because I've had a lot of sources and contacts in this arena over the years. And I don't know if you knew this, but before the New York Times released their hit piece with about David Grush, I was actually talking about it on X Spaces about what was said within the congressional testimony. This is because we got some really good contacts. Not only that, is I got some contacts that are actually in some of these programs. And I mean, and when I say this, I'm not talking about like, I went to Mars with Barack Obama type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the real legitimate stuff here. And the year that I hear is 2027. Now,
so you're hearing 2027.
I am hearing 2027. And what I hear about 2027 is that over the next year, 2026, we're going through something known as trickle-down disclosure. This actually started in 2025 with the Trump administration. So subtle hints are being given throughout the Trump administration, and various different types of technologies are being dropped. We're about to make a 500-year leap in technology in probably less than 20 years. I'd say 10 years, but 20 years. And it's going to go really, really fast. Now, the question is why? Why is the Golden Dome so important? This is why Trump is pushing Greenland. It deals with, I think, this type of threat that could come about. Now, here is
an alien threat, an asteroid threat, an outer space threat.
Well, you know what? And you know how you said that this ties everything together with my last conversation?
Yeah.
So who was Hillary Clinton sending those emails of special access programs to? They were going to a Gmail address, and when investigators to the Horowitz report went in and looked at the Gmail account, the IP addresses registered to China. How did China increase their technological proficiency 40 years in less than 10 years? Do you remember on January 1st, 2025 in Las Vegas, the Tesla truck bomb?
Yes. Yeah. That was at the Trump Hotel, right?
That's right. Matthew Leifelsberger, a Green Beret. Before he did all that, he sent an email out to Sean Ryan and other podcasters, and he basically confessed some interesting stuff. One of the things that he said the New Jersey drones are Chinese anti-gravitic drones, and that we have a same program that we've been working on and we can counter it. But he says the thing is that this is mutually assured destruction with this level of technology. In other words, China has the same level of technology, and whoever is able to move to artificial superintelligence first is going to dominate the world. And so
right,
we have
and
a
that's
war that is
secret.
coming.
That's the shadow race right there.
That's right.
There's a problem with China, though. Everything breaks so easy.
Well, I assure you that when it comes to artificial intelligence and anti-gravitic drones, it's very high-end technology. Now, the key with China there, or the U.S. for that matter, is the one key to unlocking anti-gravitic technology is artificial superintelligence. And that comes about because the mechanisms to actually run an anti-gravitational craft, the computational power has to be so sophisticated and complex because of the minute movements, the interactions with the quantum states, that they need ASI. So whoever achieves this first is going to win.
And how do they achieve that? Minerals, right? The
rare earth minerals,
South America, Africa,
and energy.
Yes, there it is,
and
right there.
Energy.
Hey, you can say it's Christian genocide, whatever you want to call it. It's minerals, baby. Yeah.
It's about control of energy, resources, the accessibility to resources and ports. And so if you look at everything the Trump administration did over the last year, This is exactly it. People are like, where are the arrests? I'll tell you where the arrests are. They're coming. But first, you have to deal with this big problem.
Right. Okay. Europe prepares for a world without America. Trump just shook the foundation of the Western order, and Europe is responding. Behind closed doors, Brussels is now discussing a 100,000 strong joint European force, not NATO, not the U.S., a sovereign EU army designed to operate without Washington. Why now? Because President Trump has made one thing brutally clear. America will no longer bankroll, defend, or defer to Europe while it leaves its borders open, underspends on defense, undermines U.S. interests, and relies on American blood and money for security. Then comes in Greenland, a strategic Arctic asset. Trump openly wants under U.S. control. That was the wake-up call to Brussels. It looks like this. America is willing to act unilaterally, even inside Western alliance. So Europe is doing what every power bloc does when its protector becomes unpredictable. It is building its own first. A European army means what? Well, this is what it means, folks. Independence from U.S. command, freedom to defy U.S. sanctions, the ability to strike deals with China and Russia, control over migration and energy routes, and the power to say no to Washington. So, obviously, Europe is still under globalist control, which we all know that, and it's moving forward. What's your thoughts on that, Josh?
Oh, my goodness, I got a lot. One of the greatest enemies of the United States of America, whether people realize it or not, is what I call the old guard. The old guard is the London banking cartels, the central bankers, the old robber barons. It is the old aristocracy that rules and dominates over Europe. This is their form of government, is the European Union, of which they formed, right? And Donald Trump, with all of his economic movements that he's made throughout the year, was actually an attack directly on them. And so if you followed the tariffs, if you followed the trade negotiations, if you followed the rare earth mineral deals and all of these things and the energy prices, one thing you're seeing is that Europe is being cut out of everything. And with Donald Trump's national security strategy that came out a few weeks ago, one of the things that was said in there is that Marco Rubio came out and he said, Europe, your GDP is insignificant. You contribute nothing to the defense of the world. Why should we care about you? We're not going to help you if you're not going to contribute to what we are and what we're doing. And he basically came out and said that everything that they're doing in the rules-based world order is restricting the United States from being the United States, and we're no longer playing that game. In other words, the British Empire has operated over the last 100 years clandestinely through NGOs, organizations, think tanks, Chatterhouse, Trilateral Commission, Council of Foreign Relations, World Economic Forum. In the United States and through the United Nations and subsidiaries throughout there, the United States basically came in and said, we're done. We're leaving all of those organizations. Europe, you're on your own. We really don't care. Have a good day. We're out. And so this is a huge, 100 years. This is a complete 180
in which they depended on us as the military arm for force. This is it.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, is there's other parts of all of this. So when you look at Maduro and Venezuela and you look at the oil transitioning, 𝗬𝗎cie Rodriguez and Jorge obviously are the ones that have controlled and benefited monetarily off of the stealing of Venezuelan oil from the Venezuelan people. And 𝗬𝗎cie Rodriguez is now in control. But Donald Trump has them in a checkmate situation. So they have to work with Donald Trump. Now, a lot of that oil we think was going to China, which it was, but it was also going to Europe. And so the idea here is that a lot of European nations, a lot of Middle Eastern nations and China are buying oil under U.S. Western sanctions. Why? Because it's just cheaper. India was doing this, and Trump slapped their hand a few weeks ago. You had MBS from the Crown Prince from Saudi Arabia come out yesterday and says, "Oh, don't strike Iran. Oh, don't do this to Iran." Well, why? Because Saudi Arabia's oil wells are basically dried up, and for the last 15 years since U.S. sanctions been on Iran, Saudi Arabia has been buying oil from Iran under the radar and then reselling it back on the global stage, calling it Saudi oil. So he has a financial interest in the Khamenei regime actually staying in place. So when you start to look at the bigger picture here, Donald Trump is throwing a monkey wrench into the global orders, and they're not very happy about it. But it's a need and necessity for what's happening in this world right now.
So Mexico right now is being forced into an impossible corner, and I'm here on the border, and I'm going to go down to the border. I'm going to go to the front lines right there and see what I can see. Apparently, allegedly, there's military movement. So footage is now flooding in on Mexican military units moving towards United States border, and it's not happening in a vacuum. President Trump has just reclassified the cartels for what they truly are, not criminals, but a hostile armed power operating next door, and that changes everything. The cartels control territory, run billion-dollar drug empires, move military-grade weapons, and assassinate politicians and flood the U.S. with narcotics. That's not organized crime. That's a parallel state. Now, Washington is signaling that this is no longer a policing problem. It's a national security threat, and Mexico is now caught in the middle. In the U.S., if the U.S. moves against the cartels, Mexico forces three brutal realities. Let America act and expose how little control Mexico truly has. 2, try to block it and risk confrontation with a superpower, or do nothing and admit the cartels run the country. That is why you are seeing troops moving right now. Now, I've also heard there's going to be a buffer zone. There's going to be a buffer zone on the northern part. It says we're not on Facebook anymore. I don't know what's going on. Alex, are we still on Facebook?
Yeah, there's something going on that just popped up, so we'll keep monitoring it.
Okay. So right now it looks like I think that probably 𝗂𝗂liche can be removed. I don't know if the cartels are going to remove her or what's going to happen, but I think strikes will happen within Mexico. In cartel territory. What do you think is going to be happening with Mexico, Josh?
Well, Donald Trump just came out and said it about a week and a half ago. He said, yeah, we're going to do land strikes in Mexico on cartel locations. Now, if you remember, you, myself, Alpha, roundtables that we've done, this is exactly what we said was going to happen, that the U.S. is going to do strikes directly on cartel infrastructure throughout Latin America, in Mexico, and through Colombia and Venezuela. And so now Donald Trump comes out and confirms this. And if you remember, we talked about 5 or 6 months ago, and I was talking about the ISR drones, the MQ-9 Reapers that were flying over Mexico, gathering intelligence, and how U.S. Special Operation Forces were operating in Mexico, identifying this reconnaissance for these targets. And then if you go back a year ago, what do you have? You have Chinese special forces groups operating directly with cartels and funding and giving weapons directly to the cartels. So there's a bigger problem in Mexico, and this is why Donald Trump came out.
And there's massive labs in Mexico where they're operating, right? Where they're creating this method, crystal meth, fentanyl. There's massive labs in Mexico. And I bet you, and I've heard they're all over the United States as well, but I would imagine we've taken them down by now.
Yeah, so if you want to look at it kind of like how the drug cartels operate in synchronization, Venezuela is the money mover. So they are the financial arm. Colombia is the producer, and then Mexico is kind of delivery, manufacturing, and processing, right?
But so Colombia's main market is still cocaine, right?
Absolutely, 100% cocaine, and also a lot of Chinese chemicals that were flowing in that would flow up into Mexico, so you can't trace direct shipments into Mexico.
Got you. Joe Rogan criticizes ICE tactics. Now, Josh, you're in Minnesota, right? You are in. I had no idea you were there.
I know, it's unfortunate. I live in the good part, though. I live in the good part.
All right, so I have a lot of friends from Minnesota, by the way, but Joe Rogan criticizes ICE tactics. Are we really going to be a Gestapo? Joe Rogan compared immigration and customs enforcement to the Gestapo in the latest episode of the popular podcast Tuesday, openly breaking with President Donald Trump on his administration's immigration enforcement tactics. Rogan, one of the biggest podcasters in the world, had endorsed President Donald Trump in the 2024 election just days after holding a 3-hour interview with him, the Joe Rogan Experience. The show, which has consistently retained its #1 spot on the Spotify podcast charts, has more than 20.6 million subscribers. So anything this guy says, people are going to listen to. And for him to come out and say ICE is now becoming a Gestapo, I think is very irresponsible, in my opinion.
Well,
Josh. I don't know how you look at this.
I can see how certain people have that opinion, right? But there's a difference. If you know what the Gestapo was a special police force used by the Nazis as they rose up in the power to contain legal citizens, to stop legal citizens from forming resistance networks against the Nazi National Socialism Party. Okay, so it's completely different because ICE is going in there and they are searching and removing illegal citizens.
Exactly.
Illegal.
Huge
people.
difference there, folks.
People who are committing direct felonies by being here in the country.
But people that are interfering with a raid, of course, they're going to get stopped, pull out of their vehicle, arrested. You're not supposed to be doing that stuff. You got to let them work. And now, with the protest kicking off, they're doing more interference. They're throwing artillery shells at ICE. When the ICE try to throw a tear gas, they pick it up, throw it right back at them. I'm saying it's only a matter of time. And if we have people like Joe Rogan coming out and saying they're a Gestapo, that only adds fuel to the fire of these protesters feeling very emboldened to do what they're doing.
Well, we knew this moment was coming. They were simply just waiting for some type of catalyst event, and then the killing of the good woman was obviously that catalyst event. Now, was it unfortunate? Yeah, it's a tragic event, and you know what? Dumb decisions by people sometimes have consequences of death.
Right.
And she made an absolutely terrible decision that day. Right.
But she drove 300 miles to do that. So that was very methodically thought out.
Oh, well, they're paid agitators.
Right.
I mean, you saw this with her license plate being swapped out, and they're paid agitators. They were paid to be there, and they're trained on these tactics. So number one, you know, when a federal officer comes up to you and says, "Get out of the vehicle," you don't drive forward.
No, but yeah, I mean, it was messy. It was ugly. But this is here's something here also. Breaking: DHS fires warning to ICE agents. Federal immunity declared. The Department of Homeland Security has just issued a blunt message to every ICE agent relayed by Stephen Miller. You have federal immunity in the conduct of your duties. Anyone who lays a hand on you or obstructs your mission is committing a felony. No city official, no state official, no agitator, no obstructionist can stop you from fulfilling your legal duties. This is not abstract rhetoric. It comes amid one of the tensest law enforcement flashpoints in years. ICE is deployed in Minneapolis after the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good by an ICE agent, an incident that has ignited nationwide protests and political firestorms. Local leaders and state officials have openly condemned the federal response, and the shooting itself has drawn outrage from citizens and elected officials alike. Now, federal authorities are signaling they intend to protect their agents aggressively and push back against any actions they believe are obstruction or worse. So now they're back. So this is going to get interesting. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right?
Spot on. And this is primarily being directed towards the mayors, the governors, the police chiefs and commissioners who are resisting. I mean, in Minneapolis, you have Mayor Fry obviously conducting some operations there against ICE. But what you have is the Minneapolis police chief giving direct orders to police officers and their lieutenants and so forth to disengage, to don't answer the calls, to don't show up. The Nick Sorter that's sitting down and getting beat up in Minneapolis, to don't respond. And then they're sending it out to other Hennepin County police departments that they are not to respond. I know this
is crazy.
My good friend is a police officer in that area. And
you're right there.
Yeah, and we're listening to the radio of everything that's being said. I got audio recordings I can't release because it was on various networks, but they are basically calling up and saying, this St. Paul, do not respond. You cannot respond to this. This is crazy. So this is what he's talking about.
This is all the making, seriously, for massive civil unrest that's coming. Yep. And pockets of civil war. Like, I don't think they're going to accomplish the goal of a complete civil war. I think it's going to be pockets of civil war, and it could start with local law enforcement against ICE, right? It could start like that.
Well, the majority of so this is one of the things why we're lucky, like you said, Hillary Clinton didn't get in office in 2016. Why we're lucky that Donald Trump got back into office in 2025. A lot of the Minneapolis Police Department was actually being kind of infiltrated by Somalis. So there's a massive amount of Somalis in the Minneapolis Police Department. The majority of the Minneapolis police officers, we know some of them are corrupt, but a lot of them are good patriots, and a lot of the surrounding areas are good patriots. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that these police officers, they're not going to
but the whole objective,
disobey
right? They're not gonna obey or disobey, whatever. But the main objective here is to cause that divide, that polarization, to where 100% they're each other, the inside fighting, and create that atmosphere for civil unrest, civil,
it's already here. It's already here.
But Trump to cut federal payments to sanctuary cities starting February 1st over immigration policies. President Donald Trump said his administration will cease federal payments to sanctuary cities and states with sanctuary policies starting February 1st, while citing jurisdictions that protect criminals and fuel fraud and crime. Speaking at the Detroit Economic Club, Trump said the move was aimed at cities and states that refuse to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. Starting February 1st, we're not making any payments to sanctuary cities or states having sanctuary cities because they do everything possible to protect criminals at the expense of American citizens and tax dollars, Trump said. And it breeds fraud and crime and all of the other problems that come. So we're not making any more payments to anybody that supports sanctuary cities, he added. Great move on Trump.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, then breaking U.S. State Department instructs Americans to leave Iran. I've covered Iran. Iran has just announced the seizure of a huge shipment of Starlink since June 2025. Possession of Starlink. What's going on with that? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the Iranian regime has shut down all communication, phone lines, internet, everything. So Elon Musk basically opened up Starlink over Iran for free, and they were shipping in massive amounts of Starlink
because they don't want what's going on being leaked out, right?
Because they want to control the communications. They don't want what's being leaked out, right? But so Iran's really interesting, and I've talked about this at length. Actually, I wrote an article back in April of 2025 about the Iranian coup that is occurring with the U.S. and Israel doing a color revolution directly in Iran. Like I predicted this and said this was going to happen exactly the way it is happening. Now, one of the things that we're going to see with Iran is I don't think Trump's going to do direct involvement, direct kinetic engagement yet. I think what we're doing is we actually have proxy forces like the Kurdistan National Army out of Iraq and that whole area that we're sponsoring and supporting. And then we have other proxy organizations that are arming the Iranian citizens and Iranian militia groups that are rising up, and that we're going to allow them to take back their country for them with U.S. clandestine and covert support. And then once that happens and the mullahs are removed, and the ultimatum has already been given to the mullahs, basically Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and the mullahs have been told to leave, just leave. I think
just get the hell out of there. I mean, he's supposed to be going. He's got an option to go to Russia. I know that, right?
Yeah, he's got an option in Russia, and it's 48 hours is what I believe they gave them yesterday. And why that's important is because once they do either get killed or leave, there's going to be a power vacuum. And you have ISIS really, really strong just south of Iran in that area. And if they moved in and took ballistic missile facilities or uranium refinement facilities, that's a big problem. So I believe that U.S. strikes are being reserved for after the mullahs are removed, and they're going to hit the ballistic missile facilities, the other nuke facilities, and a lot of Iranian infrastructure, so that weaponry doesn't fall in the hands of some rogue Islamic terrorist organization.
So, widow and son of ICE shooting victim Renee Nicole Good become millionaires, folks. They're millionaires thanks to a tidal wave of support on GoFundMe donations. The family of Renee Nicole Good has received more than $1.5 million in donations after she was shot dead by an Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE agent. Officer Jonathan John Ross shot Good 3 times in quick succession on Wednesday afternoon after she allegedly ignored ICE agents' demands to get out of her SUV. A GoFundMe campaign created to support her wife, Rebecca. Gosh, her wife, Rebecca. Look at that. And Good's 3 children, including her 6-year-old son, who is now orphaned, has amassed more than nearly 38,000 donations, dude, in just 2 days. Okay. And this was about 4 or 5 days ago. So who knows where it's at right now. A crowdfunder sought $50,000 to support the Good family as they grapple with the devastating loss of their wife and mother. But the campaign has raised more than 28 times the requested amount, with one anonymous donor alone generously contributing $50,000. Now, I heard Dolly Parton's also in on this, and she's going to make sure the family's taken care of for life. It's just crime pays, right, Josh?
Well, it does. And, number one is it's very, very tragic for the children. The children are innocent victims in all of this. And now, do I believe that her wife, or whatever you want to call that, I don't know what to call them, should be getting millions of dollars?
Oh,
no,
boy.
I think that this should be going into custodianship, because you want to know my thoughts on this?
We'd like to scissor.
You want to know my thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Is that her son, her orphan son, 6-year-old son, she didn't have custody of him.
I heard there was like abuse going on too. Like,
that's right.
Cigarettes
she
on
didn't
her
have
arms.
custody. Yeah, she didn't have custody of her kid. And I'm going to tell you right now, he's not going to get a penny of that money.
So it's going to be her lover that gets it all.
And she ain't going to get
that's terrible.
That's my thoughts on it.
All right, Timothy, have you seen this? Timothy Busfield mugshot released. Remember the actor Timothy? But he played in Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, that dude.
Nerds.
Listen to this. So DA wants to keep actor behind bars until child sex abuse case goes to trial. Timothy Busfield, who turned himself in today to face child sexual abuse charges, has been officially arrested and booked by the he's in Albuquerque, by the Albuquerque Police Department. The 30-something actor has proclaimed he is innocent of the accusations, looking at potentially decades in New Mexico prison if found guilty on the felonies. Busfield was booked at 1:08 p.m. at the Bernalillo County Metro Detention Center. So a detailed arrest warrant issued January 9th hit Busfield with 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct or contact with a minor and child abuse. The claims arise of Busfield's stint as a director on the now shuttered Fox drama The Cleaning Lady earlier this decade. He played the nerd, right? In the real big nerd, in the guy that played the violin in
Poindexter.
Poindexter, that's right. He was Poindexter. I mean, would you expect anything less from Poindexter, for an old pointy?
Well, and those 1980s Hollywood guys. I'm sure you've heard the story. Corey Feldman is telling.
Yeah,
about this
dude, he's coming out like
times.
crazy, man.
Yeah, these guys were some sickos.
Yeah,
and
there he is. That's it. That's him. There he is.
That's right. These guys were some sickos. So, in Hollywood, producers and directors, this is how they ensure that you're going to be the star or the lead in the film or the show.
But I mean, you got to think, how long has he been getting away with this? You know, I mean, he gets caught this time, but how long has he been doing this?
And now that he's arrested, I bet you over the course of the next few weeks, multiple victims are going to show up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Josh, thank you for joining me, man. It was a pleasure. Let's go to Dino'sCorner.tv. I got Jan Halper next, but let's go on later today or tomorrow. Does that sound good to you?
All right, brother. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Take care, guys.
All right, God bless. Joshua Reed, everybody. And let's do some what the fuck news in what the fuck news after hockey brawl among 8-year-olds. Investigations are underway. Youth hockey I would love to have seen this. I would love to see 8-year-olds brawl. Sorry, call me crazy. Youth hockey organization said they are looking into a brawl involving an 8 and under squad from Pennsylvania that was playing inter-squad scrimmage Saturday between periods of an American Hockey League game. The competition was presented as a Mites on Ice segment at the home arena of the 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 the top minor league affiliate of the NHL's Washington Capitals. Video of the episode showed youngsters clad in skates, helmets, and other hockey gear throwing punches at another and spilling it onto the ice. And I heard it was pretty brutal. There it is right there. They're beating the crap out of each other, little 8-year-olds. This is insane. You know, when I was playing Little League, I can remember back in the day, parents would get in brawls. Look at this. These are 8-year-olds, folks. 8-year-olds. Damn. For at least a minute per video that was showed on social media, the kids continued fighting with no apparent intervention by coaches, referees, or officials. In one clip, people in the stands at Giant Center could be heard cheering, particularly when the goalie delivered a hard hit to an opponent who was tussling with another one of the goalie's teammates. The Bears said in a statement that what happened did not reflect the values of the sport or the standards we expect when young athletes are on the ice. So, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, yeah, as brutal as this looks, you got to watch these 8-year-olds box, man. I remember when I went to the boxing gym at 5, 6 years old, I was traumatized because there was kids my age, a little bit older, 7, 8, 9 years old, beating the crap out of each other in the ring here in the barrio in El Paso. And I remember, like, there's nothing that toughens you up faster than that, actually fighting. These kids had bloody noses, black eyes, and they were beating the crap out of each other, more so than I've seen grown men do it. It's pretty damn crazy. So I don't know what your all's thoughts are on that. I appreciate you all joining me today. I did all this from my telephone. My printer crapped out on me, so I got to get another printer. And tomorrow is Ringside with Nino, folks. So Juan 𝗏𝗏 is at the funeral of Mike Reagan. He passed away. Everyone knows. Rest in peace, Mike Reagan. But I think Juan gave me some great information today on the phone that he wants to spill the beans on regarding Mexico. And I'll tell my Ringside with Nino audience what that was. But publicly, Juan wants to share that, or he wants to divulge that himself. So interesting stuff. So Ringside with Nino tomorrow, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'll be on the road, but I'll do it from my hotel room. And get over there now. Grandfather yourself into Nino'sCorner.tv. You never know when I'm going to do the price bump. You'll be all grandfathered in, guaranteed. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Alex, are you there?
Hey, Nino.
Hey, great guest today. Josh is always on fire.
Man, yeah, he's really great guest to have, and just leaves it all out.
Yeah, just a lot of wealth of information. What do you think of 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's prediction, man? Do you think he's going to make it? It's a day away. I mean,
yeah.
People are, oh, it's not a prediction. He's getting briefed. But, I mean, when you give a date, dude, that's tough, bro. I mean, people get on Bo Pony about that stuff, and anybody who gives dates and times, I'm just don't shoot the messenger, folks. I just kind of try to, I lay it out for you all to play it out. But 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is saying tomorrow is when the Ukraine and Russia war stop. Dude, I see no signs of it slowing down.
Neither do I. I mean, that's going to be a hard one, but, we'll see things develop. And, Stuart's got really great information and insider information.
He does, dude. He's legitimate. I know he's legitimate. He comes from a long lineage of his great grandfather was the Soviet Union president. His great uncle started the KGB. I mean, the guy knows his stuff.
Yeah. So
I think, he's worth listening to 100%. And he's such a good person, dude. Such a good person. I consider him a friend. Do we have any super chats?
Yeah, let's get a couple super chats here.
All right. Elise Stella. I think that's what it says.
Alice Estella.
Alice and Stella. Okay. Thank you. And continued prayers for you and your family. I really do appreciate that. I believe the prayers are helping more so than anything. So thank you so much for prayers for my parents. Thank you. What does that say, Alex? Bacher?
Baki 2332.
What about Sasha Riley?
Riley?
Who's that? Sasha Riley. Why is it escaping my memory? Sasha Riley.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, why is it? I don't know. Why am I drawing a blank? Sorry about that.
Right.
Well, what about her? Okay. What does that say? Trio mom. Josh, Wiener laptop, Hillary, and 𝗬𝗂𝗶𝗀 arrest. I'll answer that. Yes, that's all coming. From what I understand, this is why it's getting leaked out, why it's being exposed right now. All of this stuff is coming. Folks, we're barely in January of 2026. This stuff is taking off fast. Jennifer, Jenny, thank you so much. Big contribution there. Thank you so much, Jennifer and Jenny. Rhonda Patterson, love and prayers, Nino. Thank you. Debbie Chlor. Okay, I appreciate you, Nino, praying for your parents. Thank you so much. Prayers go a long way. Big contribution there. Thank you. Kelly Ray, 1982, continuing prayers for you. Love you big. Love you back. Love you back.
And that's it.
All right, and that's it. All right, folks, I'm out of here. I'm going to jump on with Jan Halper next. Stuart Swerdlow's up on ninoscorner.tv. That's pretty. We're talking about the Golden Dome, the real use for the Golden Dome. What you want to believe it, that's up to you. And remember, Ringside with Nino tomorrow, 5 p.m. Mountain. I'll see you there. All right, Alex, I'll see you later, man.
All right, folks. See you.
And the new heavyweight champion of podcasting and the black sheep of broadcasting, baby.